Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. Kevin, if you feel like you want to call in, I'm not sure if you can see the number, but the number is 201-448-7653. If you think that you want to join in and participate in the conversation. I'm just going to say this right off the bat. If you do choose to call in, make sure that you turn your phone down, or actually if you have an iPhone, you can switch over from the live feed and start dialing in and calling in, and that way you won't be on two at the same time. So today we are going to be talking about intimacy and a marriage, which I'm pretty sure that's everybody's favorite topic, right? So we'll get started in a second. In the meantime, just to do some housekeeping, we did find a single father who was willing to do the interview. So we're going to have him on next week. We are still looking for a single mother to do the interview with. If you are interested or know somebody's interested, can you please have them reach out to us? We will send them a list of questions before the interview to make sure that they are comfortable. Another housekeeping item is we do have a private page called Families of Millennials and Generation Z, and that page, anybody is welcome to join, but that page is about trying to get a lot of parents up to speed on what's going on and what's going to be happening in the new world, the new generation, and make sure everybody's prepared. So I highly suggest that you hop over to the Family of Millennials and Gen Z page and join that page and get informed so you don't get left behind. And if you know anybody that might need some education on how to proceed forward in this new world that's changing fast, we're talking about it. We have people that's in the group already, and I'm pretty sure that they already see the value, and they're starting to understand how things are changing, and it's really starting to sink in. So we highly suggest that you join that. So usually we have a cousin named Patricia. Hopefully Patricia joins, but if she doesn't join, just to let you guys know that we did have a death in the family over the weekend, and it was Patricia's grandson, Chancellor, and it was my cousin Derek's son that passed away. He was in the United States Air Force. He was actively serving at the time of his death. He was only 20 years old. So I just want to send a shout out to them. Let them know that we're thinking about them, and you know they have our condolences and our deepest sympathy at this time. So with that said, I guess we can talk about intimacy and get to maybe the other circle of life, which is everybody's favorite topic. So for those of you who don't know who we are, I'm Julian.
I'm Nydia.
And we are parents who are teenage parents. We just celebrated our 22nd wedding anniversary on
Friday, 7/26.
7/26. And we have been together for
30 years.
30 years, so since 1989. So we are at the point now that we kind of think that we kind of have a clue of what we're talking about in terms of keeping things together. So, and that's what we're kind of sharing with, and also we just want to encourage and inspire people overall, especially when society says that you can't do it because we're not supposed to be here doing it. So, shout out to Lucy. Hey, Lucy.
Hey, Lou.
All right. So today,
Your daughter's on the call.
Q, you're supposed to get the babies out on this one. You better not be watching. All right, so let's get started.
All right, so what's our first
Okay,
topic?
so let's just say I gave the call-in number. Again, the call-in number is 201-448-7653, and I have 3 questions that I'm looking for input on. So if you guys wanna, you could drop a question, you could drop your comments in the box, or you can call in at the number that I just gave. So my questions are, should lack of intimacy give a spouse or a partner a free pass to step out? You can answer that when you get a chance. And we welcome anybody else's response on that. And I have another question saying, is it okay for a spouse or partner to use sex or intimacy as leverage in a relationship? So let's just say one person desires to have sex more than the other, or to be intimate more than the other. Should the person who doesn't or have a little bit more self-control use that as leverage in a relationship? And my last question is intimacy, lack of intimacy, or maybe too much intimacy, grounds for divorce? Okay, so
You're looking at me.
I'm just asking questions. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, but what we'll do in the meantime, we'll start out. We'll give some background on how we became intimate for us. And I know people are going to be like, it's TMI, but we're going to try to avoid going there. We have our daughter watching. We thought that we put her to bed, but apparently when she's 19 going on 20, it's a little tough to do. So you can start.
Well, I think you wanted to talk about when we were first introduced, right? Way back when.
Way back when.
So, I guess the first time I knew about periods and babies, how babies are born, or how babies are made, was when I was in first grade. I had an older cousin who, cousins, there's always cousins around, they're always talking. She felt like she was teaching me stuff, and you kind of understood, but you didn't really understand, I guess, at that point. But throughout the years after that, I guess, everybody had health class in elementary school. Everyone had friends who knew about stuff. Growing up, like my family, when we would have parties or get-togethers, people would talk about sex, but they probably thought the kids didn't understand what they were talking about. I had an uncle who had, I don't know what type of books. I call them nudie books, but porn books or whatever. And I may or may not have looked at them.
That's a very binary question, but okay. Okay.
Getting a little older, I think I was 12 years old when my cousin, who was also a teenager, had her child. So by that time, of course, I knew, what sex was about. And, just growing up, watching movies, being young, I don't remember when, Grease came out, but I remember scenes in Grease that alluded to sex. I think Rizzo thought she was pregnant at one point.
What?
The girls know what I'm talking about. That's one of the characters in Grease.
Oh, okay.
And I talked about before when I was young and my family and stuff would watch movies, and they think that the kids aren't paying attention or they don't understand, but we do. I remember watching Porky's and kind of being like, what is this movie about? And then years later you're like, oh, now I get it. See, Lucy knows, me too, right, Lucy? So yeah, I think that's a pretty typical
girl story.
Yeah,
Girl version?
My mother, I grew up with my mom most of the time. I was with my dad on the weekends, so if she had boyfriends or whatever, most of the time they probably came on the weekends. But I knew what was going on.
Yeah. Okay, so shout out to Carol. Carol, thanks for joining.
You made a face?
Probably. Probably. So, just so you guys know, you probably noticed like there's a change of scenery, and since we're talking about intimacy, we decided to move this one to the sofa. Or you can say our other studio in the house, or whatever you want to call it. But we decided to move this one to the sofa, so, I mean, it's only right? So.
Yes, there's a little picture behind us. You only can see a little piece of it.
Yeah, so we decided to change up a little bit for this one. So, anything else?
No, I was just gonna say, I don't know, on the weekends.
Are you sure that's it?
That's it.
So I just want to know, how come the girls' version sounds so innocent still? Like, it seems like...
Because it is innocent. What do you mean?
Okay. It just seems like something's missing in your story.
Chellis doesn't want us to show the picture.
All right, Chell, we're going to show the picture.
Hey, Rob. No, we're not
Hey,
showing
Rob.
you any moves today.
No moves, Rob. So, hey.
Replying to
is-
Chellis.
Okay.
Hey,
Hey,
Marty.
Quib. Hey, Marty. So, again, telephone number is 201-448-7653. 3 questions. Should lack of intimacy give a spouse or partner a free pass to step out? Second question, is it okay for a spouse or a partner to use sex as leverage, especially if a partner does not want to be intimate as much as the other? And the third question is intimacy grounds for divorce, either too much or too little? So if you guys want to call in, if you want to put your comments in the box, whichever way you want to do it, we are welcoming feedback on these 3 questions. Again, telephone number is 201-448-7653 if you dare call in. If you call in, just remember to put, and you're watching a Facebook Live at the same time, just make sure you turn your phone down so we don't get any feedback, because we're going to put you on speakerphone so you can, come on, Lucy.
I do want to say,
Wait,
not
wait.
to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So just to make sure that, if they decide to call in, all the instructions are clear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, go ahead, sorry.
I do want to say that this is just a little fun fact, or maybe you won't think it's a fun fact, but my mom, me and my brother are 13 years apart, and I was 13 years old when my brother was born, or I was about to be 13 years old. And I was in the delivery room with her and my aunt when she had my brother. And I could just tell you, I kept telling myself, I am never, ever having sex, because I'm not having a baby and going through all that pain. That's when I was 13. So, what was it? 3 years later, Chellis happened. So
I think her mind got changed real quick. Okay, so Rob says no to number. Hold on, let's see what Rob says. For number 1, no. For number 2, no. How about number 3, Rob? And Marty says 1 is too little cause for divorce. I'm not sure which one Marty's talking about. What did Lucy say?
Lucy said no, and how can too much be a bad thing?
Okay.
So she might want to call in. 201-448-7653.
And Rob said he missed number 3. So Rob, number 3 is intimacy grounds for divorce, either too much or too little. So I know some people step out because some people go cold. So now we'll jump over to me. Let me put a disclaimer in and say I am a Scorpio. So if you guys know anything about Scorpios, you already know which way this conversation is going to go. She is a Sagittarius. And it's amazing that we've been together for 30 years considering our zodiac
We're not
signs.
compatible.
We're not
according
supposed to be
our
compatible.
zodiac signs.
Right. All right. So my background is this. As you guys know, for you guys who follow the live, I pretty much grew up with my grandparents. And while my mother worked, and kind of like her mentioning, the nudie books earlier, that's kind of how, no for all 3. Okay, great, Carol. So that's kind of how the first time I saw a woman with no clothes on was through the nudie books that she mentioned. I'm not sure how, because I guess they had different levels of nudie books, because there was like Playboy and Penthouse and Hustler. And the nudie books that we had came from one of my buddies' dad. So we had like a little fort in the woods that we built, and we basically hung out in that fort every day. We would go to that fort. We had like a little club that we would go to that fort, hang out, and go fishing and all of this stuff. So everything we shared was in that club. So that's the first time I saw it, and when I first saw it, I was just like, "Is that what it looks like?" You know, I mean, I didn't know what to really think. Yeah, it's the dirty magazines.
Rob didn't hear me, I guess, from the beginning.
Okay. So Rob, you have to circle back. So yeah, we would go fishing, Rob. So also health class. So I remember seeing like a diagram of like a lady's private parts in health class, and it was like hand drawn or whatever, and I was just like, and it had like all the parts and what the parts meant, but it didn't tell me exactly what the parts did. So I wasn't sure like how things worked, but I knew kind of what it looked like. Hey Thelma. So the way that I got familiar with how things worked is back when cable TV kind of first came out, back in like the late 70s, early 80s, they had this channel. Later on, I believe they started calling it the Spice Channel, but I don't know what they originally called it. I can't remember because I was too young.
Channel.
So maybe it was the Playboy Channel.
It just had all those squiggly lines.
But that's how I learned, was through the squiggly lines, because of course, like I said, I live with my grandparents and they didn't pay for the Spice Channel, you know.
Basic.
And you know, my grandfather, God rest his soul, probably should have paid for the Spice Channel, but for whatever reason they didn't do it. And I guess on the bright side of living with your grandparents is they go to sleep early, so when the Spice Channel will come on at like 9 o'clock, we can go and sneak and watch TV and watch between the squiggly lines of what's going on and try to make some sense out of what's going on. So that's kind of how I got familiar. So shouts out to Annie, shouts out to cousin Keenan. Thanks for joining, guys. So when it came down to us getting intimate for the first time, I'm gonna say, especially having a child so quick, there's a saying that we were young, dumb, and full of cum. Right, so for the most part, we got together and we were young, dumb, and full of cum. So,
Mother, you may want to hang up, but you know you can stay on if you want.
She joined at her own risk. But like I said, and Mama, I guess it's a good thing that you did have us stay with.
She's saying she thought she taught you.
No, Mom, you didn't do that. So, and actually, my brother, you know, I'm not going to incriminate my brother, but my brother was me and my brother, we grew up together, we were part of the same crew, so I'm not sure who taught my brother. I'm just going to put it to you like that. So, hey, Tanika. So, the guys who just joined, I have 3 questions. I'm not sure if you guys want to call in. If you guys want to call in, the telephone number is 201-448-7653. The first question is, should lack of intimacy give a spouse a free pass to step out? And the second one is it okay for a spouse or partner to use sex as leverage? And the third one is intimacy grounds for divorce, too little or too much? Okay? All right. So, for intimacy in marriage, for the people who are having too little, what advice would you give them?
I mean, every marriage is different, so I don't know what's too little for them or too little for us, but I guess you have to try and engage your partner and communicate with them and ask them, you know, maybe you're doing something wrong, or maybe they want you to do something different, and, you know, maybe you can figure out, you know, what you guys need to do in order to get that intimacy back.
Yeah. So, Rob, I see you asked what is too much, and you are a Scorpio like me. So I think you and I are on the same page, and we are a totally different breed. Okay, because if you think about it, there's a chance that you and I were conceived on Valentine's Day, which is the day of love, which kind of explains why we are the way we are. Okay. So anyway,
I answered.
do you think? So what do you mean when you say they might need to do things different? Can elaborate? Are you talking about the relationship itself, or are you talking about the sex itself?
You're saying the sex itself. So if someone has a lack of intimacy, I mean, it could be different things. It could be the person had a bad experience, so they don't want to have sex. It could be that you're not fulfilling their desires, or you're not doing a great job in the bedroom, so maybe you need to step it up a notch, and you need to communicate with them to see what it is that they want you to do, or how you can help them.
Okay, so you are talking strictly in the bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
You're talking just in general?
Okay, so Marty says try different things so it won't be boring.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? And you know what I forgot to do? Because I think I'm going to have some of my homeboys join the call, and I keep using the term intimacy, and some of my homeboys kind of skip class, so they may not know what intimacy means. So let me give it to them in a term that they know. We're talking about knocking boots, moosing.
Moosing?
Moosing. Knocking boots, moosing, and hitting skins. So if you are familiar with either knocking boots, moosing, or hitting skins, that is what intimacy for my homeboys that are joining that skip class and may not quite be familiar with the term intimacy.
Chalice, you don't agree with anything. Please.
She says she agreed with Marty. I'm not sure what she agrees with Marty on. Hey,
Marty
Dana.
said don't be boring, try different things in the bedroom.
Chalice. Okay, so
That's better.
hitting skin sounds so gross to me. Okay, well, knocking boots, Chell. But that's what we called it back in the day, and that's what some people refer to it as now. So, I'm going to say, what's my question?
Something about intimacy
advice. So I'm going to say, in every relationship, I think not every relationship is hot at all times. Everything is not always fire at all times, especially in long-term relationships. So, it's not necessarily the positions that they try. I think sometimes it comes down to what you do before getting into the bedroom, right? So, and she may not know this, so I'm probably giving away some of my secrets on this one, but sometimes you gotta kind of set the tone. You gotta kind of flirt with your mate before you get in the bedroom. Sometimes you gotta tell them how good they look, even if they have on, even if they still have on pajamas and they still haven't brushed their teeth yet. You still tell them.
Even though they have ripped drawers.
Who wears ripped drawers? Who wears ripped drawers? Wait a minute.
Okay, first keep going.
Oh. Anyway, it's something that you something that you need to do through the course of the day. It's not just like you wait until you get until 8 o'clock at night or something, and you say, okay, well, now let me start trying to charm her and put the charm on. It's something that you have to do throughout the day, or sometimes, depending on how old you are, maybe throughout the week. I know some people maybe consider having, especially single people, and single people, I don't know how often single people are having sex these days. And Chalice, you better not answer. But if there's anybody else who's single that would like to answer, and that says how many times that you guys are kind of active, that would be great. But I'm gonna say, like, in a marriage, especially if you guys are younger, I think that it is at least a couple times a week, and again, it's something that I think you have to kind of prime, especially if you're a guy trying. It's like almost like when you first met, you have to prime them and court them almost like day one. Hey, Wanda. So, hey, Marjorie. All right. So, would you agree to that?
Yes.
To an extent?
Yes.
Okay. And just so you know, to an extent, it can go both ways.
That's kind of like a form of foreplay.
So Lucy is saying that it helps count as exercise and calories burned.
She's talking about the act.
What act?
The sex. It
Right.
can count as exercise and burn some calories. You missed Marty's message. She said, make sure you have some toys.
Okay, Marty. Let me go back to that one. What'd you say? My red drawers, Rob? Are those my red drawers? Probably. I don't really like the color red, so you're not gonna find me in any red underwear. But I mean, I have, like, women have these things called period panties.
That's what I was gonna say. It doesn't
Okay.
mean it's Julian's drawers, mother.
Right.
Women have period panties.
But let's be truthful here. When I go to the properties, because my drawers, I don't wear, like, average drawers. Like, I think if you go back to some of the lives, I talked about, the times that I wanted to be a stripper. So in reality, it's not that I wanted to be a stripper. It's that I wanted to be like an underwear model to an extent, like Mark Wahlberg, yeah. So I kind of wear those Mark Wahlberg type underwear. And when I go to the properties, I don't want to wear my best underwear to the properties and get loose in my underwear. So I have like this whole, what I call my landlord outfit, which everything is just, I just look like trash. And I'm trash down to the socks and everything. So I keep a pair of ripped underwear for that occasion, because my other underwear, I feel are too expensive and I want them to last. So that's honest, that's the truth. And you're not going to get anything more real than that anywhere on the internet. So no, they're not Calvin Klein, Marty. They're more expensive than Calvin Klein. Yes, I have landlord drawers. That's what I call them, landlord drawers, Rob. So what other question did I have? Okay, so now question for you: should lack of intimacy give the spouse or partner permission to step out in a relationship?
No.
No. Why not?
Because we're married and you're not supposed to be doing that with other people.
Okay. So now
Again, you need to get back to the conversation. What's going on? What can I do better? Maybe the person doesn't want to be with you anymore, but they don't want to tell you that. So you gotta communicate to find out what the underlying cause is.
Okay. And is it okay for a spouse or partner to use sex as leverage to get something that they want, or to, let's just say that they're mad about something? Should they hold back on sex? And especially, if they're married or if they're in a long-term relationship, out of anger.
I mean, there's probably been a few times I was mad and I just, didn't want to do nothing. So I can probably say I probably yes to that one a few times, but not on an ongoing basis, no.
Okay. And do you think intimacy is grounds for divorce, too much or too little? Either one of those.
Well, do you...
So let's just say, either side. So if the spouse is really active, so we'll take Janet Jackson and Jermaine Dupri. Okay, Jermaine Dupri and Janet Jackson got together because Jermaine Dupri was like the only one like in the industry that could keep up with Janet Jackson.
That's just what she said.
That's what he said too.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so if you get somebody like Janet Jackson who just has that level of energy, and just say Jermaine can't keep up with her, should Jermaine just call it a day and just say I can't be with you no more?
I mean, they weren't married.
Well,
So I mean, I guess I know somebody's giving you their phone number on there, but Chella said Robert Kiyosaki recommends leverage. Rob says I control it all. Marty say yes. It's intimacy grounds for a divorce. I'm gonna say no.
No. So
Again, but I'm gonna say that you need to communicate and figure out why is there too much or why is there too little.
okay.
So some people it could be a medical reason. Some people it could be something traumatic happened to them as to why they may not want to do anything. I mean, hopefully you had those conversations before you got married, and so you know, like, what, I don't want to say baggage, but you know about the person's past
Okay.
before you get married or decide to marry this person.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Rob says no, you can control it all. Don't get me in trouble. Okay, Rob. So, Rob, you're a Scorpio, and I'm just wondering how much control do you have? So,
What's your answer to the questions?
am I supposed to answer my own questions?
Well,
I'm asking the questions here.
I'll ask you. Yes, you have to answer your own questions if I answered them.
But you can't read my handwriting.
Yes, I can.
No.
How many years? Yes, I can.
I made sure I wrote it in cryptic so you couldn't ask
Okay,
me
are
my
you
questions.
ready?
Yeah. Yes.
Marty says gaining weight, I guess, could be like a contributing factor.
Okay.
Should lack of intimacy give a spouse or partner a pass to step out?
A free pass to step out. And I'm going to say it depends.
Why?
Well, it really depends. So, like, if the person, so let's just say this. I used to work with a guy who was a quadriplegic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he was still married, but he wasn't born a quadriplegic.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't become a quadriplegic until after they got married. So at that time, basically, everything works from the neck up,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a little bit of movement in the hand,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely from the waist down, nothing works.
Okay.
So, but he's married.
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation, what do you do?
Well, you didn't ask?
I work with him, so and I'm assuming that
Bye,
you.
Marty.
All right, thanks, Marty. So I'm assuming that you like me getting a paycheck, so therefore I did not ask. But I'm just saying, what do in that situation? What does his wife do? I mean, is there some type of understanding, or does
Well,
she
I
have
guess
to?
if they both agree, then yes, there's an understanding. And like Rob is saying, his tongue worked. I mean,
But how do you, so? I mean, he can't move himself around
but she can.
in the bed, like to make that happen the way that at least the way that the magazines we saw makes it happen. Make sense?
Yes.
So is that the grounds for stepping up?
I mean, I would think that they would have talked about it, and if they were both comfortable with the other person stepping out, then that's what they would do.
You didn't see. You really danced around it.
I did not dance around it.
You said they have to talk. I'm saying that's yes or no. Is it grounds for stepping out? See, in my opinion, I'm gonna say, if she's being deprived, then yes, because we are humans, and that's how we were made, right?
Rob, you agree with that? Is that a Scorpio answer? Okay, move on to number 2. Is it okay for a spouse or partner to use sex as leverage?
I'm gonna say absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because if you want something, or what is the next one? Or if you're mad about something, you shouldn't do that. And I'm gonna say, even though I've tried it, being a Scorpio is a little tough to do, so it probably lasted all of 10 minutes.
You only mad for 10 minutes? Is that what you're saying?
In this situation, you only get you can't in terms of using it as leverage. It only lasts 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, because you're a Scorpio. You're rabbits. Is intimacy grounds for divorce too much or too little? And of course, Rob's gonna say no.
Yeah, and I agree that no, you don't. There's no such thing as too little intimacy, and there's it goes back to question number one. If you're that person that got hurt and there's nothing you can do, I mean, you don't want to just hurt the person's feelings for something that's beyond their control. So you don't really want to get a divorce, but at the same time, I think there has to be a happy medium somehow. You have to become a happy medium. So if some person's not in the mood all the time, well, at some point somebody's gonna have to make a decision.
Right.
But if it may not have to be all the time. It could be some of the time, or like I said, I don't know how much single people are doing, and Chelis don't answer. But if you have to basically be as often as a single person, then it is what it is. So Rob said no stepping. I agree with you, Nene. Rob, you're always trying to agree with the ladies.
All right, so those were your 3 questions. I don't know if you want to. No one wants to call in. Nobody has any questions.
Nobody has any questions or concerns. So again, housekeeping items. We have the Families of Millennials and Generation Z page, and the people who have joined. We have some people who have joined that page, and it is very informative, and we're just getting started. So it's going to prepare a lot of parents out there that may not see what's going on, that we're already there. Okay, things are already shifting, and we're trying to get everybody, at least the people that and that's in my circle, ready for what's coming up. Not calling into this fire. Okay, Rob. And the other one is we are still looking for single mothers. So if you are a single mother doing a great job raising your child, let us interview you, please, because we need to get everybody on the same page. We have a single father. We sent him over the list of questions that we are going to be asking him. He has read them. He's in agreement, and he's going to be very open. And I think that's going to be a very good interview. What's shocking to me is that I haven't had a single mother volunteer yet. That's shocking. But however, that could mean a couple things. That could mean that, especially in my circle, my homeboys, they know they have to take care of their kids. So most likely a lot of these women who consider themselves to be single mothers aren't quite single mothers, so that's probably why they didn't quite volunteer. But, all my homeboys in my circle, you guys continue to do your job, continue to step it up, and, if you guys need some additional mentoring, my cousin Kevin has Seeds of a Father out there. You guys can join his page. He does lives every morning for encouragement. So, if you go to sleep tonight, you need some encouragement in the morning, get on Kevin's page, because he will give you some good words. And Johanna, you just joined. Johanna, we have 3 questions. Johanna, hit the like button if you are there and ready for these 3 questions. Please, hit the like button. We need to see if you're going to be there for these questions.
She probably just got on, so she only sees the beginning.
No, it starts right in the live. It's live. It picks up
shows
live.
You how much I know it works.
Johanna, are you still there? Hit the like button so I can get at these 3 questions.
So Chelis had a question for you.
She did. What's up, Chel?
How do you feel about your kids getting intimate? How do you speak about sex with them?
Okay, so we'll go back to Chelis' question. In the meantime, Johanna has hit the like button. Johanna, 3 questions. Should lack of intimacy give a spouse or a partner a free pass to step out? The second question is it okay for a spouse or partner to use sex as leverage? And the last question is is intimacy grounds for divorce either too much or too little? So think about that. You can drop your answer into the comment box. Chella's question was what?
How do you feel about your kids getting intimate? How do you speak about sex with them?
Okay, so this is where being married comes into play big time. Because, again, I'm the disciplinarian. She's not, and I kind of look for her to take care of some of the stuff, especially with the girls. Now, if I would have been able to have a boy, I think I would take on that role. But since I think you can guide them better, I kind of leave that up to your mother, Chell. So if I was all alone, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, I can't picture being all alone, but I think your mother would take care of that. But I will tell you this. When it comes to sex, I'm going to say, whatever you do, don't give yourself away freely. You know, make sure the person earns you. And I'm going to say, just be real careful, because there's a lot of diseases out there, big time. So you want to make sure that you, not until 21.
That's right, Marge. 21.
No. Marriage. This is a family show. So Marjorie, it is marriage. So yeah, make sure you wrap it up. So let me ask you another question.
But let me answer Chalice's question.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't feel good about talking to you guys about intimacy or sex, but I think that growing up, my mom didn't really have those conversations with me. And I knew that when I had my kids, I was going to do things different. So I believe, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that I was pretty open with you guys and talking with you guys. And if you had questions, I did my best to be open and honest about most things. So, of course, being a teenage parent like me and your dad was, I didn't want you guys to have children when you're in your teens. So I tried to be on top of that and let you know what could happen, and be vocal about it.
Okay. So I have a question for you. There's a stereotype overall that men desire to be intimate more than women. In today's age, do you consider that to be factual?
She says we were crazy.
Who says that?
All right, Chell. We were crazy.
We still crazy.
All right. I think we just knew what was going on because we were young and we knew we was gonna try to nip it in the bud.
Yeah. Like I said, there's diseases out there, which is the main thing, and to and Chell, I've had this conversation with you and your sisters about wrapping it up, because there are diseases out there and you don't want to be prone to those diseases and come back and be sick unnecessarily because your parents didn't give you the 411 as to what's going on in the world. So we did have those conversations, and we didn't have the internet back then like we have now that I could pull up some Google pictures of what these diseases can do, but I tried to definitely paint a picture of what can happen if you don't protect yourself. So back to the question.
Johanna didn't answer any of our questions.
Johanna.
All right. What?
My question is, this day and age, because there's normally a stereotype that men desire to be intimate more than women. This day and age, do you consider that still to be factual, or do you consider it to be factual?
I mean, I think it could be said on both sides. I don't know. In today's day and age, it's so, how do I say, nothing's hidden anymore. Like, we said we saw nudie magazines and stuff back then. It's like on YouTube, it's on social media. Everybody wants to show their butt. Everybody's twerking. Everybody's, you know, a stripper. You got rappers who are strippers, and I don't know. The kids grow up seeing that, and I think they feel that, I don't know, that maybe they have to do those things in order to attract the opposite sex. So, I don't know that it's more on one side or the other nowadays.
So if being a woman, if you see a woman, we'll take Instagram since Instagram kind of has the stigma. When you see a person half dressed, do you assume right off the bat that she is easy?
No.
No.
I think that's always been a stigmatism from when we were young.
Stigmatism
Or,
eyes.
well, whatever the word, a stigma, since from when we were young. Like, oh, don't show too much of this. Oh, don't show too much of that.
So, but now that times have changed.
Yeah, I think times have changed. I think that, not to say that that's the norm, but that's what a lot of kids are seeing now. I could be honest with my kids, they see a lot of those things, and we go to the store, and it's always a fight at the mall because I tell them they're not going to wear that, and they get mad, depending what it is. You know, all of the shorts nowadays, they don't make them long anymore. They show your butt. Is that just how they make them? And my kids get mad at me because I tell them I'm not buying that for them. So I'm still kind of old-fashioned when it comes to that. And everybody, Chalice is saying everybody shows skin on IG.
And that's it has the stigma.
So it's almost like our girls see that and they think that that's what they need to do.
The norm.
And Chalice is saying, sure was, still I could buy my own clothes, laugh out loud.
Yeah. So let me ask this question. What do you think about porn in the marriage?
I think that if both partners are consenting to it and want to watch it and that's what they want to bring into their bedroom, then it's fine.
So what if, so like when we started out, we were talking about the magazines, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if the guy doesn't give up his love of the magazines, kind of keeps some stuff in the closet, or, well, now with the internet, you can find them anywhere, watch it on the phone, or have pictures like in his on his phone or whatever. You open up his phone. Is that grounds for divorce? How do you handle that?
I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother you. So it wouldn't bother you if I had pictures of all these naked women sitting on my phone. If you opened up my phone.
What do you mean sitting on your phone?
For instance, if I opened up my phone and I went to my pictures.
Yes.
And you was looking through my pictures, and all of a sudden you saw a bunch of either.
No, that wouldn't bother me.
That wouldn't bother.
Unless it was somebody that we knew, I guess. I don't know.
Okay,
like, why do you have a picture of our half-naked friend on your phone or something?
But if it's somebody that we don't
like
know,
somebody on Instagram who's, you know, they're being a model or something. I mean, that's not gonna bother me.
Or like the ones that your uncle showed me.
My uncle.
I
don't remember, but
like one Christmas, your uncle had a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
Your aunt was just like, I don't understand why he has these pictures.
Doesn't bother me.
That doesn't bother you, okay? Because I think some women.
It should be in the pleasure. There should be a pleasure room in your house.
The house.
Okay, Rob.
Whatever that is. I mean, I'm assuming that's probably like the glory hole on Porky's.
Next time I come, I want a tour of your house.
Yeah, that's just crazy. So, you're fine with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell you, if I came to your phone, saw a bunch of naked men.
I've seen the pictures on your phone.
But
They're not like
those aren't my pictures. Those pictures are sent to me. Those are not like my pictures.
Okay, well, that's what I thought you were talking about.
No, I'm saying if I'm the one out there getting them and stuff.
I don't know. I mean, you're not going out there to be with that person. It's kind of like porn.
Well, it is porn.
Okay.
But some people have a problem with that.
Well, if it turned into a big problem, then, you know,
so
you might need help.
It wouldn't make you feel insecure in any way?
No.
So you wouldn't be like why is he looking at that person versus looking at me? Because I'm gonna tell you, if I picked up your phone and saw something like that, first of all, I guess if it was like a bunch of them, it might be okay. But if it was like one and only one, I'd be like, well, why does she have like this crush on this one dude? Right?
What if it's a model?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's just this one dude. I'm just like, so because I feel like at that time, I read it's like in the real world, you always competing with many men. But when you narrow it down to one person, then it's like you're almost like prone to somebody that you're going to step out with.
Who are you saying BS to, Rob? And no, he doesn't have pictures of my uncle on his phone. He said my uncle showed him pictures of women on his phone.
But and I guess if that person that you're looking at on your phone is driving you to be more intimate with me, then I'll probably have to pay him some money, depending on what the situation is, right? Because then at that point he's doing me a favor, right?
Yeah.
But if it's something that, you know, there's no intimacy going on, and then I find out, you know, you're looking at these one or two guys on your phone, and I'm going to be like, well,
yeah, I mean, I don't.
What's the 411, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So, do you guys have any questions? Because we're going to close out. But at the end of the day, my feelings are, guys, if you want your wife to be intimate with you, almost on demand, if you're going to call it on demand, you need to start in the morning. So when you wake up, you tell your wife how good she looked. And then by the time you go to sleep, you'll be set. True? Somewhat? A little bit?
Yes and no.
And also, let me just say this to my mother.
She hung up.
Oh, my mom hung up? Well,
Yeah.
when she goes back to... when my mom goes back to...
Because you know she nosy. She's going to go back and listen.
Well, when my mom goes back to listen to this, now that I'm older, and especially living in Maryland, there's like a lot of songs that come on that you guys used to play around us, and I'm starting to realize that those songs were nasty. So
and they used to let us go around singing them songs like nothing.
Like it was nothing. So my mother's generation, y'all was some nasty buzzards out there. and you know, we didn't know any better, but now that I'm older and I listen to the lyrics of these songs, I'm just like, oh wow, I had no idea. And then have to figure out like which one of these songs did you guys make me to? Because I'm just curious, because y'all was some nasty buzzards. And I guess now today music is not as concealed as what it is now. I mean, music is more straightforward. So, if you go back and you watch this, I just want you to know that the game is up. I'm older now. I understand what these songs were about. Okay, so when you get a chance, we can talk about it. We can have another Birds and the Bees chat if you want. But I just want you to know, especially, you know, when I hear these songs over and over again on the way to work in the morning, I'm just like, really? That's what my mom used to listen to? Does she even know what these guys were getting at? No, because we had no idea what these guys were getting at until now. And it was very creative how they did it. You know, Prince, Morris Day, all of that. Right?
You had to think about what they were saying. They had to come up with a way to say it, where now they just say it.
Okay. So, well, let me ask you this too. Do you think intimacy, how much of a role in marriage is intimacy Like, how important is it in the marriage?
I think it's very important, not just because we've been talking about sex, but not just sex. Lucy's telling you, get up, get up, get up. Let's make love tonight. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Because we do it right. Something like that.
Yeah. Marvin Gaye, all day.
I think that, as you're saying, how do I say it? It's not just sex. Like holding hands or hugging each other, or you have to have a relationship with each other. It can't always be so dry, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word. And then you want to feel loved. So the way that you would feel loved is by hugging or touching or holding hands when we're out, or having a date night, or, you know, maybe you ask the other person what they want to do. Doesn't always have to be sex.
So let me ask you this: your parents are divorced, right? They've been divorced for quite some time.
Yes.
Do you remember a time when they lived together?
Only a little snippet.
Did you ever walk in on them
No.
during the intimacy?
No.
Never.
No. And I was only up to 3.
Okay. So
they were separated from the time I was probably 2.5 or 3.
Okay.
Or maybe a little older, but.
So you wouldn't remember it either way then.
Mm-mm.
So maybe that's a question for your mom. So when we end this call, I want you to call your
I'm
mom.
not calling her.
And just confirm what I'm asking is true.
No.
Well,
your parents were separated too.
Well, I live with my grandparents. And
Okay.
So that was a marriage household.
Right.
But since they were older, thank God I never walked in on them. And I don't even know if they were doing anything. I mean, let me tell you guys something. My grandparents, I live with both of my grandparents. I lived with my paternal grandparents and my maternal grandparents for years. And I'm talking about years. And if and when they were doing something, they covered it very well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't even know. I'm just like, did they ever get intimate?
I mean, sleep.
Maybe. But I mean, there were a couple times that I was sick in the middle of the night too. But you know, they just never showed any signs of what was going on, like in the bedroom. And I know they normally say keep what's going on in the bedroom a secret, you know. And to some people watching this is probably TMI, but we don't care, right? We're going to talk about it anyway. But I've just never seen my grandparents and as far as I know, I don't think I've ever seen either one of my grandfathers kind of start to court my grandmother for the day. Like, you know, I never seen them like hold hands and snooze and like, so if they were doing something, they were keeping it on the low big time. So, but I'm going to
my grandparents were not together on either side, so.
So for your kids, how do you teach your kids what that role means in marriage? Because it's something that you can't show.
What do you mean? You talk to them.
You just talk to them.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yes, you talk to them. Yeah, have communication with them. You think your kids don't ask me questions?
Yeah, I did until now.
Okay, well.
Okay. It's a good thing we have these lives, huh? Wow.
They ask questions. They're curious.
So we'll talk about that after the live. We'll go live in this house after the live.
Well, they're not going to feel comfortable asking you.
Well, like I said.
But again, there's a lot of things on social media. There's a lot of things on YouTube, Instagram. You know, telling your kids these things. And I kind of rather them come to me and ask me something than believe what people are telling them out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always about me and you. I'm just saying. They see something, they have a question, they come right out and they ask me.
Okay. All right. So, anything else?
No. Thank you guys for joining.
Yes, thank you guys for joining. Thank you for taking your time. We love you guys. Hopefully this is informative. Yeah, child, music too. Well, that goes back to the music that your grandma used to listen to. Your grandma was, and your grandpa was, they was some freaks. Okay, so let's just talk about. I mean, that song "Freakazoid." That I'm pretty sure there was something behind that we haven't figured out yet. So, your grandparents, you're gonna have to talk to your grandma about it, child. So again, just some housekeeping things. Family of Millennials and Generation Z. I highly suggest you guys go over to that page and get informed because it's a private group and we are talking about stuff that nobody else is talking about on Facebook and probably in the workplace, among other things. And it's to help prepare our children for tomorrow. And it might even help prepare yourselves because somebody put something out there regarding older people who cannot get employment. Did you see the video today? So I looked at that and it boggled my mind. I said, wow. I said, not only is it going to be helpful for the millennials and the Generation Z, it's also helpful for people who may be a target when they are 50 and getting ready to retire. And the last thing is we are still looking for a single mother who wants to step up and be interviewed by us on one of our live sessions. So if you know anybody, send them to us. If they're successful, they're doing a great job, they're going to talk about it. I have a list of questions I can send to them. If they're comfortable with them, we can go ahead and do the live. So we appreciate you guys joining us tonight, and you guys have a great evening. And my uncle just joined. Uncle, have a great evening. We are signing off.
All right.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.